you little stumpsters. It's me, the stumpy one. Yeah. I've got more names than Carter's got liver pills, huh? I wanted to, well, again, thank everybody for joining the crazy train and all that. Wanted to thank everyone for subscribing and all that stuff, for fixing I think hitting about 2,300, which is pretty amazing to me. But anyway, I just finished up working on my truck. I got my brakes fixed up pretty good, got a good pedal, got them bled out pretty good. We stopped at Advanced Auto down in Clarion and got a, I don't know, one of those, what do you call them, diagnose computer reader thing. It was like 140 bucks, but we ended up resetting the ABS. I guess it reset the pedals a lot better. It says I got a bad wheel sensor, so that's why my ABS light's on. But, so anyway, I got that thing now. I can figure that out and fix that. No big deal. And whatever. So I got that figured out. Ryan helped me get that figured out. But anyway, I wanted to do a video. I've been meaning to do it for a few days now, and I got 10 seconds moment peace here. 10 seconds worth of peace here. A few moments. So I wanted to address another good question. Cookie's Services. I think it's Cookie's Service. Thanks for subbing there, Cookie, and leaving some comments. Cookie asked me what would I recommend for a skidder if he's I think he's into construction stuff, and in the winter time things slow down after the ground freezes up. You can't dig dirt very well, so he's thinking about doing some logging, that's a good idea, because the two kind of go hand in hand, you know. It's very similar work. Anyway, so he wanted to know what I would recommend for just a small operator, for a skidder and whatnot. And hands down to me, for your situation, Cookie, would be I would find a 200 series Timberjack, an older one, even if it's got a Detroit. Everybody hates Detroits, which actually I stick some earplugs in, and they're good old motors. They're simple, they're noisy, oil leaky things, but they work good and they're simple. They start fairly easy. But that style of skidder, if you've got any skills mechanically, or know someone who does, and maybe has a little shop you could put it in, you know, in the winter or something for a couple weeks. I mean, they're so simple. You could very easily change it over to a little Cummins or a John Deere 4-cylinder or Kubota 4-cylinder, whatever you wanted to do. They're just so simple to work on. I mean, they are so rudimentary simple. Another thing I do like about them, if I were going to just go work by myself again and cut nice logs. Now, I'm in a little different situation. I cut a lot of low-grade junk, and you have to produce a pile of volume to make any money. It's all about volume, and hence the higher production and the bigger machines and all that. And you know, you can do all right. You just got to move a lot of material. It's just like Cotton Top or Bobby Goods and all these guys, to pay for the equipment and to make it doable. You gotta move a lot of stuff. If you're just gonna go out logging, subcontract for a little mill, or you know, even a bigger mill or something, and you're just gonna cut a load or two of logs a day, you know, with a chainsaw, that's a different world, okay? Much less stressful. But if I were going to do that, which I have in the past, I would find myself a little 200 series, a 225 or 230. The only big difference between the two, really, is, as far as I know, is just axle castings are a little wider on a 230. Basically, they're the same machine. The 225 is a little narrower. But you don't need anything, you know. You can get by with a, what is it, a little 16.926 rubber or something. You know, the chains are cheap for them. They're just a wonderful little machine. They're just so simple. There's nothing to them. There's nothing you can't fix, basically, with, you know, like the old farmer said, a roll of baling twine, some some mechanics wire and an adjustable wrench and a screwdriver and a BFH, a hammer, right? I mean, it's almost that simple. I mean, if you get into like, you know, taking apart the, you know, winch and, you know, rebuilding the winch and transmission or the forward reverser box or something, you need some mechanical knowledge there or whatever. But even that stuff's pretty simple and basic. But to like get the transmission out, well, you need a basic toolbox, you know. They get the winch off, you know, like 4 bolts and, you know, some hydraulic lines. The things are super simple to work on. There's a lot of knowledgeable people around, you know, if you don't feel competent to figure it out yourself. There's parts available. The transmissions have always been a weak part of those things, a weak point or a weak part that they kind of tear themselves to bits, because what they did is they put a forward reverser in front of like a new process 4-speed transmission. They took the reverser shaft, the reverse counter shaft, out of the transmission, and you actually have a level. So you're running that synchromesh transmission, which is supposed to be running one way. So what you're doing when you go in reverse is basically you're making that transmission go backwards, and it's not supposed to do that, and that makes them chatter and rattle and vibrate. And I think that's a big issue with them, where, you know, they do have some issues with the transmissions, beat themselves to death, and, you know, a couple thousand hours you're probably going to be putting a kit in it. But it's very simple to do. I've done them myself. Just pull it all apart. It's just a little 4-speed new process. I mean, literally in a couple hours you can just rebuild the thing and stick it back in. Portland Transmission in Providence, Rhode Island, I used to get parts for them, readily available. Even down here, when I lived here, I'd still call up to Portland Transmission. I know they have different areas, shops, but I used to go through the Providence one because I lived up there before, so I knew about it. And they'd send you like the bearing kits and the, you know, roller kits and spacers and shims and blah blah blah. So that stuff on them are very simple. There's also some aftermarket transmissions. There's a guy over here, Slimmick Machine in Brookville. If you were to get one, you know, I could post his number or something, you know. He's very knowledgeable. He used to be a service manager for Lions Equipment, which sold Timberjack for years. And he's got all kinds of aftermarket parts. And he's actually got a, what do you call it, a connection or a hotline to, I think they're either made in India or China. It's an aftermarket transmission with the reverser in the transmission. And you know, it's like a replica of the new process transmission, I guess, but they're relatively cheap, and they've been holding up real good. And he gets them, and they bolt right in. I don't think you even have to do anything different. I think they bolt right up with the transmission. So I am, you know me, I'm complaining all the time about this high-tech crap that you just can't work on. I would do that. I would, if I went back to working by myself today or tomorrow and sold all my junk, which is tempting, you know, because, you know, like old school does with just a small machine. You notice he's got Timberjack. He's got the 225, which I have one just like that, and I think he bought a 240, that's nice too. That's that's another good machine. 240. It's just a little bit bigger and heavier, and but same thing. I mean, it's basically the same frame, same dimensions. I think the back frame might be a foot longer or something, but they just put bigger, heavier axles in them, and usually they went to a 4-cylinder power plant. You know, like the 3-cylinder Detroit, I think was like about 100 horse engine, and I think the 4-cylinder might be 125 or 130 horse or something like that. So they just beefed the 200 series up a little bit, and they put a bigger winch on it. But that's another great choice. I never cared for the Gearmatic winches that they had on the 240s. The later 240s had a John Deere winch on them, and that's a good setup. Those old Gearmatic winches, I had a couple of them, and they were just ornery sons of bitches. You get a little bit of rust in them. a little bit of condensation, and they were just constantly giving you trouble. And but the little Hercules winch or the Eaton winch on the little 200 series, the 225s, the 230s, they were user friendly, very, very simple to work on, very simple to adjust and maintain, and you could piss all over them all winter long, and I never had problems with them. So you come out of adjustment once in a while, you had to mess around with it, but the bands were easy to change. The adjustment on the drag and the your brake, your hold bands, they were easy. They're just a very simple machine to work on and to use. I mean, they're not the most user friendly, but you get onto them, you can pull a lot of wood. For power to weight ratio, you can't beat them, And another thing too, like your axles and stuff, anything that's obsolete, it's just so simple to change stuff over. They're just using Eaton axle or a Rockwell axle. You could pull one out of pretty much anything, and as long as the gear ratio is the same, just bolt them in. It's 4 bolts, and it's just simple. So that's why I like that. If I were going back to that just by myself, to work by myself, I would get myself a 200 series Timberjack and just go to work and live with the few flaws that they have, maybe upgrade them or whatever. But they also made that too. You might want to keep your eye out. There's probably quite a few of them up in the New England area. I don't know exactly where you're from, Cookie. I think somebody said New York, or maybe, I don't know, but whatever. I'm assuming it's a colder climate, since you're saying your construction slows down in the winter. Look for a power. They had, I think, a little 3-speed Allison in some of those automatic torque converter machine, and that would be a nice little option too. So, but yeah, I would go that route. The John Deeres are smaller, the old 440Cs. I think you said something about a 540A. Yeah, but the John Deeres, you're getting into complicated hydraulic systems on them, accumulators, and like the Timberjack. Say for instance, the brake system on a Timberjack. It's got a foot pedal, okay, a master cylinder, which you could literally use anything. I mean, you could take a master cylinder just off the shelf at Napa and make it work. A brake line, and they go down to the I think they're on the transfer case, and there's a shaft that comes out of the transfer case, and it's got, the old original ones had a drum brake with a set of automotive type shoes in it, brake shoes. The later ones, I think I've seen guys put calipers on them, which you could do that too. It'd just be easy to do. I think I'm not sure if any of the newer ones had calipers on them or not. I can't remember, but they had literally an internal brake, just like a set of shoes on a, and you would, I think the same setup. I think it's been a while, but I think you use the same setup. In other words, you just had a slave cylinder and a steel brake line with a rubber part in the middle so it would flex or whatever, with a bleeder, a wheel cylinder. You bleed your brakes, you pump them up, bleed them, pump them up, bleed them. There's nothing. It's just a little simple mechanical brake system on it. Do they have like the best brakes for holding back, a triaxle load of logs? No, but they're adequate. They're easy to fix. I mean, literally, you can have the cover off of that. It's right behind the cab, in the back section. You can fix it real easy. You can get at it. And then the park brake, I think, used the same brake. It just had a mechanical, thing in there that, an eccentric or something that pulled like a regular parking brake and expanded that for a park brake. And no, I wouldn't trust my life with that either. So, if you're backing down a hill somewhere and you're hooking up cable, you know what? Jab your blade into the ground, or hanging over a stump or something, or backing in a tree. Yeah, don't depend on that to save your life either. There's been guys crushed by the older skidders. The brake wouldn't hold, and they're down there hooking a log up and here the tractor backs over them and smashes them, squishes them. So stuff like that you got to take into consideration. But that's a hell of a good little tractor. It's simple, they're light, they're easy to move. The Deere stuff, they're good, but you get a lot more complicated systems on a Deere, you know. A lot of stuff that a guy can't necessarily chase unless you're pretty much really well versed in hydraulics and stuff. So that's my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. You know, I used to be able to do by myself with my little 225 if I was decent timber. Now this is good timber, this isn't junk. And you know, if I were to do this again right now, guys, you know, it would probably take me a month to get back into physical condition where I'm not so goddamn tired, you know, exhausted by doing it. You know, it would probably take me, you know, 3 weeks or 4 weeks to get back into my routine. But I used to pretty much consistently do 10 to 12 loads a week by myself. And that would be, you know, 8 or 9, 10 loads of logs and a couple load of pole wood, you know, that top wood that would come out with it. And, you know, even 7 or 8 loads by yourself, you know, if you can do, you know, $400 a load or something for, that's not bad money. I mean, and you can pick one of these little Timberjacks up for 15, 20 grand, a nice one, you know, a really nice one. You can pick up a beater for $7,500, you know. So, yeah, if a guy does even a load a day, you know, that's a couple $1,000 a week, you know. Most of it's clear, you know. So whatever. I mean, that's the way I would look at that if I were you, Cookie, and or anybody else. But just remember, you know, if you're going to go cut timber, you want to learn how to do it right. You want to be safe, you know. You know, and I know nowadays, you know, it's gone so far ridiculous the other way. You know, you can't get out of your pickup truck without putting your hard hat on, and you know, come on. I mean, but if you're going to go cut trees down, it's a good idea to wear your hard hat. Probably a good idea to wear chaps. I stopped wearing them because they just absolutely drag me into the dirt. And I feel safer being more energetic. I've had cases where I have some issues with chaps. And I know that's not popular. But I don't particularly care, like when I get out of the truck, hurry up and put my hard hat on and all that, you know. Whatever. You do what you want to do. It's my goddamn head. And I'll worry about my head. So far, I haven't had any satellites or airplanes land on it. So, whatever. You know, it's just, it's so ridiculous. It's one of the reasons I didn't want to work for the gas lines anymore. You know, you got somebody watching you. You can't take a pee. You can't duck behind the track and take a whiz. You know, you can't get out of the machine without your safety glasses and your hard hat. And we've become a bunch of cupcakes. And I can't deal with that. You know what I mean? I think I'm capable of figuring out whether I can walk around without a friggin' hard hat on. Sorry, I know that's not politically correct, but whatever. So anyway, but you do want to be safe logging. You want to be, you know, you want to be conscientious. If you do work with another guy, make sure you get signals worked out, and you know, plans. You know, you want to have a plan. You don't want to just go willy-nilly and get hurt. But learn how to cut properly. You do not want to be tearing up somebody else's timber. You know, you won't work long. Don't set your goals too lofty, but if a guy, you know, could do, even with your helper, a load and a half a day, starting, you know, getting going, you know, even a load, get going, and then work your way up, a couple loads, 2 or 3 loads a day, you make some money. I mean, it's a lot better than sitting around on unemployment or whatever. I can't collect unemployment. You probably can't either. But. All right, I gotta let you go. I gotta go run in the house, take a shower. Me and Mammy are going out tonight. I'm gonna go get some din-din with some friends. And maybe go see a movie or something. Maybe I'll find some karaoke. Alright, guys. Love y'all. Ta-ta. If you like what you see, subscribe. Give us likes. Tell your friends. All that happy malarkey. And have a wonderful weekend. And I don't know. I'm not quite sure what Mammy wants to do. But I think Mammy might come with me tomorrow. Got some dozer work to do. And I also have a product that I'm going to plug they're really cool. I just got them the other day. They're a LED light bar setup, and they want me to do a little product, you know, shout out. So I'm going to try and do that and do a video for you. I'd like to put them on my dozer on that 700. So maybe we'll do that tomorrow. Okay, guys, you have a wonderful weekend. If you do any drinking, don't do any driving, okay? Stay safe and have fun. Ta-ta.